So hi everybody, and welcome to our latest video, which is very exciting this time because I'm joined by my friend and a person I've done a lot of work with, Justine. Welcome, Justine.
Hi, John.
How are
Thanks
you
for having
doing?
me.
You all right?
I'm all good, thank you. All
Living the
good.
dream?
Aren't we all?
At the time of recording, I think the economy's fallen apart, or that's what is being reported. So it's quite amusing to be in the thick of all that, but actually just doing some really cool stuff. And the stuff that you do in your business, Justine, is something I think more people should know about, particularly now with things getting so difficult and things getting so tough.
Yeah.
I think it's really like a timely moment to listen to what you've got to teach people and what you've got to say. Just for everybody's knowledge and understanding, Justine is the founder of the VA property company and has developed a really successful and really well thought of business through a very difficult time. We're basically set up around COVID time, wasn't it? You set it up during the lockdown.
Yeah, during lockdown, actually. So, people might think that's a bit crazy doing that, but it felt right at the time. So, yeah.
Well, that's the best time to start properties. Best time to start businesses is when there's difficulty and when the market is challenging. So, pat on the back for doing that. And if it works during lockdown, it'll work outside of lockdowns as well. So
Yeah, true, and also what's going on with the economy as well. So it's quite
why did you
timely.
set it up?
When?
No, why? Sorry, why did you set it up?
Why? There's a bit of a backstory here.
Okay.
I got into working with overseas VAs about 2.5 years ago now. And at the time, I got my first VA, absolutely brilliant, trained in everything that I was doing in relation to property. But I was also doing management consultancy, which was my principal business at the time.
Right.
And in essence, I got pulled into supporting the COVID rollout of the COVID vaccine program in Greater Manchester.
Okay.
Yeah, which was great. However, I had this fully trained person based in the Philippines, and I thought, what do I do now? And I was literally working like 9-day weeks. So what happened is I then passed her on to a friend and said, who was needing some support for their business. And I said, look, you can use her, work with her, but you can't keep her.
Okay.
And I want her back. So the feedback I had from him was that my VA was amazing. Her expertise was brilliant. The things she could do, things that you can outsource to were absolutely outstanding, but also her level of training. So then I thought, okay, there must be more people like him who want virtual assistant support or VA support, but don't have the time to find, train, or even the inclination to manage a person.
Right.
So, ta-da, the idea was born to
Okay.
build this agency I've got. And now I have a team of virtual assistants. We've got a number of clients, and actually you outsource your work to us. We give you what I like to think of great outputs back without the hassle of having to do the hard work of having your own VA.
And why property?
Oh man, I've always been in property.
Right.
Always been in property.
You're one of us.
Yeah. Oh my word, I started in property when I was 23, which was really, really good. And I actually did a lot, learned a lot, had a lot of mistakes, did some good things, but it was all by chance.
Yeah.
I ended up actually going to get myself trained. And while I got myself trained, I just thought I wanted a niche, keep the business in property. Although a lot of the support work we do isn't necessarily property related, it's like business support solutions, social media, etc.
Yeah.
It helped having a niche in terms of having that targeted client base we're working with. So still love property. I probably fell into it, John, really.
Nothing wrong with that. If it fits, it fits, doesn't it? And I do think, from my own personal experience, that in property, one of the most precious resources that we always forget to measure and to understand and to look at is time. We run out of time. We think we can do tasks, and particularly tasks that we might think are easier or simpler or not as demanding, we assume that, oh, well, that's okay, we can do all that because
Yeah.
we can. But what we don't have is the time to do those things. So therefore, it doesn't get done or it gets done badly.
Absolutely, and that's what we're finding in the business as well. Some of our clients have property, maybe secondary. They may have a full-time job, so they're trying to maintain their life, maintain the full-time job, and also build a portfolio.
Mm.
And that means that a real push on their time, no matter what.
Yeah.
So then they can't do things like running campaigns, doing the deals, doing the marketing, doing all the social media, closing
Yes.
deals,
Yeah.
everything. And it's like a one-man band. So
Yeah.
it's just actually, how do we give them a little bit of their time back?
Yeah. I mean, that's certainly my experience. Is I think a lot of us will default to, well, I can do it all. I can manage all this. I can do it.
Yeah.
And the realization that actually what you should be doing is the things that you're really good at, the things that you're in flow, as we often say. I'm in my flow when I'm doing negotiation, so I'll spend my time on negotiation. I'm not particularly in my flow when I'm doing the accounts, so therefore
Yes.
put the accounts somewhere else. And I mean, that's just an example, but there are lots of different things that we're good at, and we're not all the same. Some of us have different skills to others. Offloading those things that aren't adding value or taking up too much time, and also that you're not particularly fond of doing,
Yeah.
free you up to make more money. Let's just be honest, more money and be more successful doing the things that you are good at. And I think that's where, from my perspective, a VA comes into their own, and having a team of people that understand what I'm trying to do,
Yeah.
but understand their role in that mission and do it very cost effectively. Because of course, there's also the cost saving element as well. Not being the cheapest, but not having to train people and educate people and employ them through payroll and do pension registrations and all of the things that we
Exactly.
forget about. Yeah.
Exactly. It's not. I mean, if we look at the UK, a UK-based, employee
Mm.
probably costs about £3,000 a month if you think
Mhm.
through pensions and insurance and all those add-on costs. And actually, you've got your limitations in terms of they're employed for a role. You've got to train them. You've got like a long lead-in time before you can get somebody to work with. And so to me, outsourcing is a no-brainer in terms of you can actually have your work outsourced and get that support in virtually, immediately.
Yeah.
But I would say, though, the caveat is you've got to really understand what you want to outsource. And also, like you said, you need to be focusing on, as an individual, the high value,
Yeah.
low volume activity. That's ultimately what you can do. And then actually everything else underneath that, delegate. So your low value, high volume,
Mhm.
which is your churn. And
Yeah.
actually you think, I've got to do this as a business owner, I've got to do this. But the chances are you probably don't like doing it. You could be quite rubbish at doing it. And there's probably somebody else who can do a better job than you.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's what I found. I was doing all of my own direct to vendor campaigns.
All right.
Yeah, as we get taught at times, I was writing to landlords directly for off-market opportunities. And I'm thinking, I don't know how to do this. Like, I don't know how to operate the digital mail platforms. And price per hour, my time, I was devaluing myself. I could be used out there negotiating, doing deals, networking, rather than doing all that side of things. And that's just one example of things you can outsource well.
So why not, rather than do it yourself and make a mess of it, or do it yourself and jeopardize other more urgent tasks, or and you should basically just hand it to someone who is already skilled, already trained, already ready to go. No training required. Well, not much training required, just a briefing in essence, and then away they go. And you do all of that for the price of, well, you're doing that and not having all of that initial upfront cost as well.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a no-brainer, isn't it? I think
Yeah.
compared to trying to do it yourself or to recruit and train a team of people in the UK to do it, that you are responsible. I mean, a lot of us are entrepreneurs. A lot of us are small businesses. We all have aspirations to get big. Some of us are more successful at that than others. But in my experience, the people who are most successful in growing and scaling are those people that are prepared to delegate and get support from businesses, services, and individuals that can help them sort of supercharge their way towards
Yeah.
that end goal. And that's why I think VAs, I mean, to be honest with you, using a VA or using support for your business is something that you'll have to do. If you're serious about your business, you're going to have to do it. I think what a lot of people who are listening to this will possibly think, Justine, is, well, why don't I just go and get my own VA? Why don't I just go and get my own person to do this? Why on earth would I use your company when I can go and get it? And I might undercut you. And that's always what you hear
Yeah.
in this industry. But uh, uh, some of us have experienced that. And I'm sure you've got stories to tell about that, the pitfalls of doing it on your own, yeah?
Absolutely. I mean, what I'd say, fair dues, go and try it. We have a lot of clients who come our way who've had poor experiences of working with VAs.
Mhm.
And so then we take on board them. It's like, oh my God, it's like night and day. Um, and I think it's a case of it sounds good, but there's a lot of upfront work into doing that. So
Doing
first
the
of all,
same thing as you would do in the UK. If you had
yeah,
somebody UK based, you've got to train them. You've got to. How do you know that they're going to work hard for you? How do you know that they're going to be disciplined? How do you know that if they fall over or they're ill or they need to go and see granny, that the work's going to get done? You don't. You just got.
yeah,
Well, you need a
but
team. You need a
absolutely. And
structure.
then even thinking through, the other complication here is you're doing all of that, but you're doing it with an overseas team.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you find your own VA? You know, you've got to put a lot of upfront work into doing that. You've got to decide what you want to delegate, your ability to do that. You need to be able to think, can you manage them? Do you have that management and leadership skills?
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with a disappearing VA, which does happen from time to time? It's like, I can't get hold of them. What's happened? And then you've got all your layered security. How do you manage all of your data? Do your data sharing? How do you transact? How do you pay them? There's a lot that goes into it. So although it feels good, I can go away and get my own VA, actually, it's all of those additional responsibilities you've got. And you've got somebody that you're having to manage who's from a different culture, who, it's about their level of competencies. So, yes, there's always that model. But for me, how much does that add to your own stress levels?
I mean, I find this. You might not agree with me, but I find people fall into two categories. I'm going to get my own VA, and they never do it, right? Or I'm going to get my own VA, and they go and do it. And when they
Yeah,
go and do it, they realize that it's a nightmare, and they don't want a VA anymore. And then they
yeah,
go back to the same challenges and problems that they had before they even wasted resource on that. And that's why I think people should learn from your experience and your journey and what your business does, because you should only really make a decision, or particularly when it comes to investment, when you've got a good understanding of what you're letting yourself in for. So, um, you're the first person I know who's done this, but you're running you're going to run a free webinar about working with VAs, aren't you? Do you want to just tell us a bit more about that?
yeah. I think for me, on my own personal journey to where I've got to with working with an overseas team, I've seen a lot of things that work well and things that don't work as well. And also, I've learned from other people I've been talking to and actually clients that have come on board with their experiences. So I've decided to run a webinar on the 18th of October, and it's about me giving back. So I want to share the top 10 things. If you think about getting a VA or even actually outsourcing or working with an outsourcing business, it's the 10 things I think you need to know to help you on your journey with that.
So if you're thinking about having a VA, and even
Yeah,
if you're thinking about having your own VA, there's no reason, I can't think of a reason why I wouldn't want to hear that, because I'm gonna learn all the things I might need to know if I'm gonna have my own VA.
yeah,
So, but I'm also gonna learn all the things that I need to know if I'm going to instruct a company like yours, and I can make an informed decision rather than I'll give it a try and see how it goes. You're going to tell people what their
yeah.
options are, and what the pitfalls are as well.
Absolutely. It's like for me that when I first got my VA, I didn't want to tell anybody
Right.
because I'd have everybody saying, I didn't tell my family and friends, for example, for 10 months.
Wow.
And the reason being, it was like a best kept secret because I wanted it to work so much, but I knew I had to invest my time in researching what it was like to work with a VA, what the cultures were. So when I started off, there were no blueprints, for want of a better word. There was bits out there on the internet. You hear a lot about Americans doing
Yeah.
things,
Oh, the
but
internet's a great place, isn't it, for all of the answers? Just 700 answers to a simple question. It's my experience there.
exactly. And so there wasn't that opportunity. And it's things I wish I knew at the time. So fast forward on, I now have calls, Zoom calls with my team, and my family might come around and saying, hi. So they've really embraced it. But I didn't want to tell people till I knew it worked. And I had to learn a lot of the lessons myself and see things as well, things that other people have said. So you're going to get a lot of that on this webinar with problems, pitfalls, how to's, and also actually, if you want to come and work with us and be a client, brilliant, that's great. Or if you want to go and take that knowledge and do things yourself, equally that's good. I just want to make sure that I'm giving people sufficient value information for them to make an informed choice.
So you give them a hand up to see, some people it will absolutely fine to go and get your own VA. No, go and get your own VA, hand up, and then you've got some of the experience that you've had, and hopefully you won't make mistakes. And then you also some people who were thinking about that, but might actually decide to do something differently. May decide not to have a VA at all. That's fair, isn't it? They may just for you, but they'll learn that from you. So at least they'll save some time and money with going through the pain and hassle of having a VA.
Exactly.
Some people may learn that they need support from a business like yours and how best to manage that support. Maybe you don't need to spend as much money. Maybe you could spend a bit less and do things a bit differently. Maybe you want to spend a bit more and get a lot more out. Maybe all these things they all come up in conversation. But I would strongly urge everybody, if you're thinking about VAs in your company, or if you've done it in the past and it hasn't worked so well, come along to Justine's meeting, because my experience of working with Justine and understanding and getting to know Justine is that she is absolutely at the cutting edge of VA management, and I think that's the difference. It's not anyone can have an assistant, but to have a VA company to work towards your goals requires a lot of management structure and a lot of skills. So you'll learn that, I would guess, on the 18th. What time is it on the 18th, Justine?
It's 7 p.m.
Yeah,
UK.
And how do people join? Is it easy to join?
Yeah, so it's a free webinar. We've got tickets through Eventbrite, so we'll include a link for that.
Right.
It's 7 to 8:30, so there's going to be a lot of content for the first hour, and then opportunities for Q&A at the end, also right through it. So there's going to be, hopefully, a two-way opportunity that I can also learn from other people with what they're looking for, which helps me hone my product moving forward. But ultimately, that gives people the information that they need then.
So we'll put a link attached to this video, and people will be able to click on that link and join you on the 18th of October at 7 p.m. All they've got to do is click on the link and register, and then they'll get a Zoom link sent to them. They can join you for an hour and a half. It's virtually on Zoom, so you can do it in your pajamas or you can do it in your garden. It's entirely up to you. Just mind what you do with your camera. If you don't want to be seen, don't be seen. But no, it'd be really good. And so it's an hour and a half. Will people get a chance to ask questions and pick your brains, Justine?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm there for giving as much value as possible. So, I'm going to be encouraging people to be quite interactive, dropping comments in the little chat box, asking questions, and then we'll have much more of a detailed session afterwards. And
wow. So, if you ever had any questions about using a VA, then you can ask them in open forum here and learn from the other questions that other people are asking as well. So, wow.
And also, John, there'll be a lovely free giveaway at the end of it as well for those that attend.
Of course. Everybody does that, don't they?
Why wouldn't you?
You don't have to take it. You can just come along and have it all for free, and you won't pest them and you won't annoy them. So that sounds like a no-brainer, doesn't it? 18th of October, 7 p.m. Get onto that call and learn about VAs. I can't wait because I'm going to learn a load of stuff. And I use VAs at the moment, but I want to learn from other people and see what other people's experiences have been, and also what they're looking to get from their VAs as well. So I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be learning from it as well. So come and join us 7 till 8:30 on the 18th of October on Zoom. And again, check out the link just underneath or somewhere on this video, depending on where we're publishing it. It'll be there. Click on the link, get yourself booked, and why wouldn't you? Because it's free. It's complete, as they say, no-brainer. You might as well do it. Lovely.
Cool.
That was cool. What a nice conversation. I haven't done a conversation like that for a while. It's a real pleasure chatting to someone who's so down to earth and easy to chat to. So thank you.
I enjoyed that. And that was all done without a cup of coffee in hand as well.
Oh, I'm going to get mine now. Yeah, we'll go and get a cup of coffee. I think everyone who's listening to this probably needs one to natter along. But thank you very much for coming along, and I'll speak to you again. Well, see you on the 18th of October.
Yeah, look forward to that.
To everyone who's listening, thank you very much for watching this video, and keep an eye out for future videos. And don't forget to like and subscribe to these videos to get more content like this. Thanks, folks. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.